Hi everyone, my name is Dave, and welcome to Extra Credit, a video series where we take an unscripted look at topics related to local history and exploring that history. All right, so as we normally do at the start of every episode, just a quick reminder to visit my website. You'll find a link in the description. There you're going to find all kinds of content related to the topics we take a look at in this video series and then some, including a section for extra credit. So if you're new to the video series, you haven't seen any of the episodes, or if you want to go back and you want to revisit something, or if you missed something, there you're going to find all of our past episodes. And you're also going to find a few little teasers for upcoming episodes as well. So you'll be able to check and see what we're going to be taking a look at in the coming months. Additionally, you're going to be able to find me on social media. So you'll find me on Facebook and you'll find me on Instagram. And last but not least, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. There's all kinds of content that drops fairly regularly on the channel, particularly in the spring and the fall when we're actively out hiking. I just finished the fall hiking season here this year, and literally there is videos dropping almost every day for the next 2 months. We have a lot of content that we need to get through from the hikes that we did, over the past few weeks. So again, by subscribing, turning on the notifications, you're going to get that content just as soon as it comes out. So speaking of hiking, what we're doing in this episode, as you saw by the title, is we are returning back to our kind of out and about Grand Trunk Pacific series. And so what we've basically done so far with this former railway line is we've kind of talked a little bit about the history of it. Luna's running around here. We've talked a little bit about the history of it. We've gone out and visited a few places. So we've gone to the Moose's Nose. We've gone along the Matawan River to the bridge that's over the river there. So in this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be visiting not only one of the most well-known spots on this railway line, probably one of the most well-known railway spots in the entire area. And so we're going to be taking a look at something called the Flett Tunnel. So here comes Luna with her toy. You have to give it to me. You have to give it to me so I can throw it. Come here. Sit. You ready? Oh, good thing it didn't go in the lake. We are going to be visiting the Flett Tunnel. So the Flett Tunnel is one of the few railway tunnels that's in this area. It's actually the second longest tunnel. There is a longer tunnel on the former Canadian Northern Line, later on the Kinghorn Subdivision line at McDermott. But that one's a little bit further away. It's a little bit less known in the area. And it's got a very different sort of feel to it. We actually did an extra credit episode on that tunnel last year, and I'll put a link in the description and you can go visit that if you haven't seen it. But in any case, this tunnel was built back in 1906, and it was part of the construction of the former Grand Trunk Pacific Lake Superior Division or Lake Superior branch. That essentially was designed to link the Grand Trunk Pacific National Transcontinental Network with Lake Superior. And so again, that line was built between 1905 and 1908. So the tunnel, again, was constructed at some point in 1906. Unfortunately, as you're going to see in the video, there is some tragedy associated with the tunnel because there was an unfortunate accident in September of 1906 when 3 workers were killed during a tragic blasting accident. You'll hear me talk a little bit about that in the video. And you can hear a little bit more about it in the Exploration Series video, which I will post a link to in the description as well. So the line itself was abandoned back in 1994, and since then, it's been a very, very popular attraction for a lot of people. I visited the tunnel. I think my first trip to the tunnel was back in 1996, and I'll kind of talk about it a little bit in the video. And I've been back on several occasions. Again, very, very popular. A lot of people visit the tunnel. I think maybe some of the traffic has declined in recent years, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that now the railway grade is owned by a forest management company known as Wagner, and according to the rules, you're supposed to have a permit to travel on the railway grade, most likely for liability reasons. And I think that has probably dissuaded people from traveling on the line as they have done in the past. Let it go. Let it go. Ready? She's bringing me all kind of toys here to play. Luna loves being out at camp. So it is nearly November here. It's actually the 1st of November. And so it's a little bit chilly outside today. It's not too bad, but temperatures have been kind of up and down a little bit. So, not this. In any case, we visited the tunnel back in September. It was actually kind of a bit of a goofy day. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do the exploration because it had rained. We were out at Wraith earlier in the morning, and then it had rained a little bit during the course of the day. During the course of the morning, and I wasn't sure if it was going to clear up or not, and it ended up clearing up and ended up being kind of a really neat condition. Now, one of the things that we did with that is we didn't just stop at the tunnel. We actually rode right from pretty much where the station at Flett is, which is before the tunnel. We rode through the tunnel and we rode past the tunnel to a point where there's yet another tunnel, and this one is kind of railway related, but it's not actually designed for the train. So as you're going to see in the video, what they did was in the years later on when they were doing upgrades to the line, so this happened in 1918, what they did was they filled in most likely a trestle that was bridging a small little or not a small, but a fairly lengthy ravine. And what they did was they rerouted the course of the creek that was flowing under the grade, and they built what's called a stream tunnel. And you're going to see that in the video. It's a really, really neat thing to take a look at. And we actually did a full workup on that. And so you'll be able to see in the description, you'll see a link to that video as well. And so you can go check that out because we actually walked through the stream tunnel. So in any case, let's turn you over to the video. All right, here we go on our adventure. So the access road is just behind us over there, so that is Flett or Finmark Road. Let's show you where we are here on the map. All right, here we go. So a couple of things. We do have the LunaCam activated. Brakes are a little wet. Come here a second, Lynn. Okay, LunaCam's activated. And the other thing you'll notice is headgear is a little different. I forgot my helmet, so I've had to improvise. Hopefully this turns out okay. So it's actually later than we wanted to do this. So it is the third week in September, so it's the 20th of September. I had hoped to do this in the morning, but it was misting, and then the mist turned to rain. So I was actually going to forget about this altogether. Went up to went up to Wraith and did some work out at Wraith, and then came back and hit another spot up along the Kaministiquia River, or along the Mattawan River, sorry, that we needed to look at again. And then noticed that it wasn't kind of like, it kind of dried up a little bit. And so here you can see it looked like it didn't even, nothing even came down, right? So there's kind of spots where it looks like it rained, and then other spots it didn't. In Wraith, it rained pretty decently for about 10 or 15 minutes. Not like a downpour, but pretty steady rain. It did rain here. Make sure Luna's with us. So she's probably gassed already because she's been running around quite a bit. So she's going to be sort of lagging behind. Again, hopefully this turns out okay. I'm a little worried about the one on my head because everything's set up for my helmet, and then I had to sort of improvise a little bit. Is this the guy? There's a guy that I passed in a car. He was doing some hunting. I told him he was going to have to turn around because there's some massive puddles. Come here, Lynn. All right, so this is very fortuitous because where we've stopped right here is the location of a station. So this was where Flett Station was located, somewhere in this area over here. We were here, we did the video on this this section. We actually did it twice because we came the one day and we went all the way up to the Oscodaga River Bridge, which was 6 miles. The problem was it was misting like it was this morning, and the video got ruined. So I had to redo it in 2 sections. So anyway, so here is where the station at Flett was located. I didn't find the well. That was one thing I didn't locate, was I didn't see a well anywhere, but it looked like the station would have been right in this area here. There was some concrete and stuff that we found over here. So make sure there's a link in the description, so make sure you check out the exploration video that that we did. So the logging people here have done some work on the road a little bit. There's still a couple of big puddles here before the tunnel, but this section at least, or at least leading into the tunnel, they fixed up, because even here there were some pretty large puddles. And if you watch the exploration videos, Luna's gassed already. Like I said, she was running around like a nut this morning, and she's not a young girl anymore. So if you watch the exploration videos, actually last year was very, very dry, and so there was absolutely no water anywhere. Again, we got a little bit of shower action this morning. That probably helped to contribute to some of these puddles here on the side. And again, if you watch that video, you'll just see this is all just puddles. So this has all been kind of fixed up a bit. The big one here hasn't been fixed up. So last year this would have been all dry. So again, here we're approaching the tunnel. So this is known as the Flett Tunnel, obviously named after the station. And so this is the second longest tunnel in the area, the largest being the McDermott Tunnel, which we did one of these extra credit episodes on last fall. So I'm gonna grab my flashlight here. You can see all the requisite graffiti on the sides of the tunnel. Names amongst other things. So again, watch take in the exploration series video. You're gonna see a bit more information. One of the big issues with this tunnel was it was very leaky. So as I mentioned earlier, did do that hike back in '96, and one of the reasons why there was all ice at the bottom was that the tunnel was notorious for being very leaky. And then the second thing, and again, you'll learn more about this in the exploration series video, tragically, when they were building this tunnel in around this time, so I think it was September of 1906, they were doing blasting, and tragically, several workers were killed in the blasting. I think you can actually see, yeah, it's all wet. Look at the water dripping down over here. So again, talking about that leaky tunnel, look at the water dripping down right here. And it was probably right here that there was a big kind of pile of ice that time when I was here in '96. So again, as I was mentioning, a very tragic accident when they were constructing this tunnel. So 3 workers were killed in a blasting accident. The tunnel is about 630 feet long. One of the interesting things is you don't normally think of tunnels in this particular area, you know, simply because you know, people just to sort of associate tunnels with mountains and such. And we do have mountains around here. kind of have this this debate with my wife all the time. I do tell her I did study geography in university, so I do kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit. Here's some more water. It's all wet. You know, we're in the Canadian Shield, the Precambrian Shield, the Laurentian Shield, whatever descriptor that you want to use to describe this area. And so, I mean, this is one of the oldest rock formations in the world. Oh, we've done 5 kilometers. My watch is talking to me here. So again, the rock has been worn down over billions of years. So we do have mountains, kind of live by them in Thunder Bay, but again, they've been worn down over time. So, you know, they're not as high as what you would see in places like Alberta and British Columbia, but certainly we do have our fair share of rock. So here is the egress, oops, from the western portal. Maybe we'll take a picture here and need something for the thumbnail for the video. Okay, so let's continue on. So we're going to go a little bit further, and we're going to another point of interest that's really neat. Actually, another tunnel. And so here you can see some of the examples of some of the logging that they're doing here. You can see some of the machinery. They've kind of ripped up kind of the end part of the rock cut here to build their road. And then you'll see some as we continue to the west here. So one of the interesting things is we're getting into this long straight stretch. We don't have a lot of pictures of this railway line, especially very early on. One of the most famous pictures was actually taken in one of those early years. So there is a 1909 picture of that tunnel. Looking this way, so basically looking to the east. So you're seeing the western portal of the tunnel, and you'll see that on my page. So again, there's a link in the description to go to my page on Flett. And so the picture was taken at some point in 1909, and the line opened in 1908. And so again, it's very interesting because you see the tunnel, you can see how wide open it is, and you'll also see that this embankment here, and we are pretty high up, this embankment used to be a trestle. My brakes are still wet from the rain. You can see how far down it is to the valley floor. It's probably at least 30 feet down, if not more. And so again, good chunk of this was all trestle, and it was filled in during the Canadian government railway days. So they basically, in most cases, what they used to do is essentially just leave the trestle there, and they still did this in kind of modern times, and it was just sort of infill it. Leave the trestle in place and just infill until you've basically buried the trestle in fill. And they probably would have stuck a culvert or two. And you're going to see where we're heading to now. They've done the same sort of thing, where they've most likely infilled a trestle, and then they put in a very unique culvert, and we'll see that when we get there. Want to make sure Luna keeps up with us here. The Luna cam's going to get some shots of my backside here. So you can see the logging that they've done down here. You know, these areas around these railway lines, current and former, been logged over several times, right? They were logging in here, not that long after this railway line was built. We know for sure that just up ahead they were logging here in the 1920s. So that picture that I was telling you about was actually taken right here. It was taken on the top of this rock cut, looking back towards the trestle. So you can see it there, but now if you go up there and you try to look back, you really don't see much in terms of the trestle. There's so much vegetation that has grown up. So here you can see we're into a pretty massive rock cut that's got to be at least 25, pushing to 30 feet up there at the top of the cut. The wonderful geography here of the shield. Again, hopefully this video is turning out. Everything is set up to go on my helmet, and when I have to use the head strap, I'm always leery because it's I'm always worried that it's not pointing in the right direction. So again, you can see the cutting work that they've done. So again, this most likely was a very, very large trestle. Very common when they were constructing railways, right? You mean doing stuff with fill and rock is very expensive, and the goal is to get the railway line built as quickly as possible so you can start making money off of it. And so the most common thing to do was to build trestles and then later come in and infill them all. And Lena, come here. Come here. Come here. And the cam's all askew. And it's askew again. Jesus, stop. We'll fix it when we get to our stopping point here. So again, the whole idea was you built these trestles and then you went back and you infilled them. And I know, again, some of this work was done during the Canadian government railways time, so between Grand Trunk Pacific and Canadian National. And I remember reading some stuff saying that you know, when Canadian government railways did all this work, that, you know, the railway line was in kind of rough shape. There was a lot of these trestles that had probably been built by Grand Trunk Pacific that needed to be replaced, right? I mean, if you are, you know, you're in that 1918 time frame, which this feature that we're going to be taking a look at was built, you know, some of these things had been built 10 years previous, and it was, you know, probably most likely untreated wood, and so it was time to replace them. You can see the camera on the dog is like sideways. We're coming up to our next feature right here. It's literally right under us here. So what we have here, speaking of the Canadian government railways, there were, as I mentioned, lots of upgrades that were done, and there was some really notable there's my truck up there. There was some really notable infrastructure that was built during that particular period in time. And so what we want to do is we want to go and take a look at one. So I'm going to shut off this camera here. Okay, let's shut that off. Let's put the bike down. Let's fix the loony cam here. Okay, so let's make our way down. Again, check out the exploration video of this, because what you're going to see here, we actually went through it. So what they did here, as I mentioned previously, I believe they filled in a trestle and then rerouted the flow of the creek that's through this area, and instead of just putting in a culvert, they actually drilled through the rock. And so they built what was described as a stream tunnel. And so last year, what I did was I actually went through it. Now, this is not the only example of this. There is a similar one much further to the west, towards the end of the line. So on the west of Zarn, between Zarn and Alcona, So basically when you're at Zarn in Alcona, you are at the end of the line, because after Alcona is Superior Junction, where it meets the, or what it used to meet, the main line. So you can see there's a gigantic swamp here. Fix the Luna camera. Just have to be careful. It is, like I said, there was a little shower before. It's not too bad, but just gotta watch I don't slip. You can see here that it's quite precipitous. Using the big words. Oh. So you can see the Beaver has a dam here. And here is the stream tunnel. Just gotta watch my footing here, because again, it's quite slippery. Don't want to kill myself. You see how slick the rocks are. If I had my rubber boots on. Shoot, sorry, swallowed a bug. All right. So here's the tunnel. So again, about a 10-foot by 10-foot tunnel, maybe a little bit bigger, carved through the rock, and again, routing the water through. You can't, really hard to get down on the other side. So this is the best side to get down and take a look at it, and the reason why I walked through it that time. All right, let's head back up carefully, lest I kill myself here, which I don't want to do. Just like Luna, I am not a spring chicken anymore. I always say that these things were easier when I was in my 20s. 50s, not so much. Okay. All right. Go, Loon. I'm coming. She may be 7, but she still can move. So you can see it's all quite a ways down. I think I measured like 60, 70 feet. Whew. Invigorating. Try to ignore my huffing and puffing here. All right. Hi. Okie dokie. So, back at the bike, back at the truck. So, this brings us to the end of our little adventure. So we'll send it back, feel like a reporter, send it back into the studio. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed all of that. Again, as we do with a lot of these extra credit little sort of out in the field videos, there is a longer version, so I've had to sort of cut down the video. I've had to cut out some of the portions of the biking to basically make it a little bit smaller video. But there is a link to the full video that you can go check out if you want to see sort of the whole sort of biking experience we did. Also, as you heard in the video, we had the Luna cam activated. So we actually had the video camera on Luna. So there's a link in the description to her videos. Lots of links to descriptions and videos this week. You can check out her video and you can see what we did from her perspective. And you can see sort of how she experienced things and how she saw things. It's the only time this year that we actually had the Luna cam going. So we'll have to make sure we get it going, at least once next year as well. Because I know some people do appreciate seeing things from the dog's perspective. But in any case, again, it is a very, very popular attraction. So if you're in the area, you want to go check it out. You kind of know where to find it. Make sure you go to the Wagner website, get your permit. So you want to make sure you're doing everything sort of by the book and legally. Again, a lot of history associated with it. It's a very, very beautiful area to be able to see things. And essentially, the railway line will take you all the way from. It's actually a very long stretch from Flett Road. You have to go all the way up to Michener Perry Road to get to the next road access. So there is quite a bit of distance in between. Unfortunately, there's parts of the grade there that are not in particularly awesome shape. There's some pretty big puddles and things like that. So if you're going at wet times of the year, just be aware of that some of those areas are difficult to get to. All right, joys of having a dog, had to go chase after her. In any case, so as I was saying, there are some wet sections on the other side of the tunnel. So if you are planning to kind of do a little bit of exploring beyond that, you do have to be aware that at certain times of the year, some of those spots can be very, very wet. They will dry out typically in the summer and into the fall, but especially in the springtime and things like that, they will be extremely deep. To the point that if you don't have a truck or an all-terrain vehicle, you're not sort of getting through some of those spots. In any case, that wraps up our episode. And we will be back with more features, with more explorations. We've got a couple things coming up on the Kinghorn. We're actually going to be filming some stuff tomorrow morning for one of our upcoming episodes. And then we kind of did on one of our exploration hikes earlier, a few weeks ago, we actually did a little filming. So I kind of have a little bit of a different episode with regard to that coming up as well. So in any case, thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Take care.